Spring training rolls on, and will the Cubs ever lose? Hey, I love watching these guys, and what a fantastic start as they try to take a step closer to opening day in Tokyo, Japan. One guy that we may see who's originally from Japan playing a different position is Seiya Suzuki. Can you expect him to play center field? What would that look like? We're going to talk about that and more right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's get this party started, everybody. Thanks for hanging. Go Cubs. Let's go. Hey, say, guys, Mick Gillespie at Broadcaster Mick. Love to connect with all of you guys, and you hit me up on social medias, on X, wherever. I'm at Broadcaster Mick. Been a Cubs fan for my entire life and have spent, I feel like, another entire life covering the Cubs. So here, try to do it on a daily basis. I know I missed the show the other day. He goes, where you at? Okay, I'm back in my home studio. So let's talk about Seiya Suzuki, because I know that's kind of where we wanted to go with the show today. I've been wondering how the Cubs were going to position this outfield with what they have right now. Can Kevin Alcantara make the team? We'll talk about some roster cuts. I don't know. I don't know that he's ready. He's had a good spring. Defensively, he's okay in center field. I felt like Alexander Canario, who obviously they ended up sending to the Mets after he was designated for assignment, was probably a better bet defensively, and and showed power. But Alcantara is another guy, the Jaguar, who's kind of along those same lines. How are things going to look? Most likely he'll end up in Iowa, but he's a center fielder, and I don't think he's going to make the team, even though he's on the 40-man. So you're going to end up with Ian Happ, Pete Crow-Armstrong, Seiya Suzuki, Kyle Tucker, and then, maybe, I don't know, maybe you put Tucker as your fifth outfielder. Turner. Justin Turner's your fifth outfielder. If Alcantara doesn't make it, I don't know. We'll see. But say that's the case, Cubs still need some coverage for Pete Crow-Armstrong in center field. And the thing that you wonder about PCA, and I love the guy, Hollywood Pete, enjoy watching him play, I'm a fan, is what is it going to look like for him if he struggles at the plate? Because I think there's going to be a tough schedule at the beginning of the year. And I also feel like the Cubs really can't sit back and wait on someone to figure it out. I feel like there's a sense of urgency here. This front office is going to be pushing. Because if they don't make the playoffs, if they don't do something positive, they're all going to be out. So one of the options that the Cubs have to get maybe Seiya Suzuki in the lineup, if you put somebody else at DH and you got Turner and right, is Seiya in center field. And in yesterday's spring game against the Cleveland Guardians, Seiya played center field. We've, in right field, you feel like he's okay, and then he seems like he loses balls in the stands and, kind of takes bad routes at times. But he was a Gold Glover in Japan, and now he's playing in center field. So what did I see first day playing in center field? It's serviceable, right? You can put him out there. I don't think he's going to kill you. In a crunch, you got to have some versatility. That's the name of the game. And so putting Suzuki in center field gets his bat in the lineup, and that's where he's really good. And, it also, gives you some flexibility, right-handed, left-handed, with Pete Crow-Armstrong. But defensively, Pete Crow-Armstrong is head and shoulders better than Suzuki. At the plate, I'd say Suzuki's better than Pete Crow-Armstrong by about the same distance at this point in his career. So as this roster continues to kind of form, I'm curious to see how many more times during spring training we'll see Suzuki play center field. But if he could play center field and it was serviceable and you could put him out there and he's not going to kill you, it would give the Cubs some flexibility as far as that outfield goes. At the end of the day, though, he can't play center field on a daily basis. and it's just because you're going to lose more runs than he's going to produce by not having Pete Crow-Armstrong out there taking the gaps away. And that's why Pete Crow-Armstrong was the defensive player of the year in the minor leagues. That's why you see him come up there. And then last year, the outfielders are like, the guy just shows up. We can play more over on the corners, because if you don't, he's just going to be there. So that's kind of where Pete Crow-Armstrong's superpowers are, with his ability to play center field. But the Cubs need him to hit, and they need to get off to a fast start this year. So anyway, I thought that was interesting, and I thought that was really one of the most important things that happened in spring training yesterday. Now, the other thing is Matt Shaw is scheduled to play today in his first spring training game. He's been out with an oblique injury. The Cubs have, and I love the comments that you guys have had in the comments section, very little at third base. Yeah, watching Justin Turner take ground balls at third, just in case, and he's over there playing, making plays. But we've never seen Matt Shaw in an actual big league game, and now we're just giving him third base. I think he can handle it, but the problem is we just don't know how long it's going to take for him to adjust from the minor leagues to the big leagues as far as the hitting goes. It was nice, though, watching him hit off of Cade Horton in a spring at a sim game, I guess it was, or some kind of minor league game over at the complex. And then we'll see what happens over at third base. But he's still hopeful to go to Japan. If I was the Cubs, I'd probably be a little skeptical of that happening. But who knows? He's a young guy, and you just hope he didn't rush back from that oblique. Because if you injure that oblique again, then all of a sudden you got a lot of problems, because it seems like that second injury is the one that really takes a lot of time to bounce back from. Well, it's a little bit accelerated this year because the Cubs have to play in Japan, but the Cubs made a roster cut and getting closer to trying to have that roster ready for opening day. I guess the real opening day is March 27th, right? But the Cubs dropped that roster to 54 players. They optioned to AAA pitchers Gavin Holloway, Jack Neely, Cody Poteet, and Caleb Killian. So Killian, remember last year, had the great spring and was one of the pieces. He came over with Alexander Canario from the Giants in the Chris Bryant trade. And then Killian had seemed like a really great spring, and then got hurt. Cody Poteet was the throw-in that the Cubs got from the Yankees for them buying the contract of Bellinger. And then Jack Neely was traded by the Yankees to the Cubs in the lighter deal. Gavin Holloway in there as well. So anyway, that's where we are right now with the roster. They're going to continue to cut this roster down. But it's it's tough when you're kind of coming up, and those four guys probably like, well, we probably weren't expecting to get sent down this early. But Cubs have to get ready for Japan, and then they'll come back, and then who knows what's going to happen. But it's roster cut season right now for the Cubs, and still 54 guys on the roster. So they before they head to Japan, they're going to have to still trim that roster down to 31, and then they got to declare 26 for the games when they play against the Dodgers. Julian Mayweather was really good in his outing yesterday. I think that's a fantastic sign for the Cubs. Had a 1-2-3 inning, couple of strikeouts, but he had that knee procedure in the offseason. And you know what, man? It's time to get back to him being the Julian Mayweather that we saw a couple years ago. And the Cubs really need him to be that guy. So I thought that it was great seeing him. Another guy to talk about is Brad Keller. He had a couple of really, really impressive strikeouts in the seventh inning of the day game of the Twin Bill. He's a guy the Cubs are relying on, and they don't have a lot of lefties. So Caleb Thielbar is another guy that they're hoping that can go out there. And then saw Ryan Brashear, remember, got him from the Dodgers. He looked pretty good as well. So the Cubs have a bunch of guys in that bullpen that have experience that are having so far so good, pretty good springs. And so going into this Dodgers series with the way that the starting pitching is only going to be limited on innings or pitches, right? We're expecting that there'll be about 80 pitches. You're going to have the bullpen unless you get a lot of pitch to contact outs. So, pretty impressive for those guys in the bullpen. And then finally, Cubs back in action as they just continue to just march towards the games against the Dodgers that count, but they take on the Reds, and that's at Sloan Park today at 2:05. So play them, go another week, and then all of a sudden you're going to turn around and they're going to be in Japan. Another week of games, and then I'm guessing that they're heading out probably on the 11th, off on the 12th, and then they'll start playing games out in Japan, and that'll be a ton of fun, man. The Tigers and the Giants out there, the entire Japanese culture, which I love. Their baseball culture is amazing. Gotten to be friends with some Japanese guys over the game of baseball. They love it. They play the game the right way, so it's exciting. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thank you guys again for being here on the Cubs baseball channel. Really appreciate everyone for hanging out. And back in the home studio. Look, man, I go on the road. I'm in the hotels, but I still try to do my best to bring you a show every day. So for that, like, subscribe, thumbs up, comment, and we'll do it again tomorrow. Go Cubs.